Arresting reporters at a protest is an affront to the First Amendment. New York. When a journalist is arrested at a protest, the free and fair gathering of the news is arrested too. That's one of the reasons why these infringements on press freedom are relatively rare in the United States, and why Friday's brief arrest of the CNN crew in Minneapolis was so egregious. Police may not prevent journalists from covering protests if the journalists are in a place where the public is allowed and they are not disrupting or interfering with law enforcement. Simply being near a protest or other newsworthy event is not a crime, the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press states in its guide to covering protests. Live video from correspondent Omar Jimenez and the CNN crew showed that they were not interfering with law enforcement. As a phalanx of officers approached their live shot location, Jimenez was clearly heard saying, "We can move back to where you like, we are getting out of your way, wherever you want us, we will go." Despite this, Jimenez was taken into custody along with producer Bill Kirkos and photojournalist Lionel Mendez. The Reporters Committee guide states that police cannot arrest journalists in retaliation for negative coverage or to prevent reporting on a public demonstration. But to many viewers who saw the arrest take place live on air, that's exactly what it looked like. CNN lawyers and executives immediately worked to secure their release. The crew was released about 1 hour later. Friday morning's episode had some echoes of Ferguson, Missouri, where numerous journalists were detained while covering protests in 2014. At the time, the American Society of News Editors called it a top-down effort to restrict First Amendment rights. For every reporter they arrest, every image they block, every citizen they censor, another will still write, photograph and speak, the group said. In one of his public statements about the turmoil, President Barack Obama reaffirmed his support for journalists on the ground. "Our constitutional rights to speak freely, to assemble, and to report in the press must be vigilantly safeguarded, especially in moments like these," Obama said. In some cases, the Ferguson arrests were chalked up to misunderstandings. The spate of arrests wound up being embarrassing for the police, and 4 of the journalists sued St. Louis County. In a settlement deal in 2016, the county agreed to adopt policy changes that will address the issues raised by this lawsuit. Since then, researchers at the U.S. Press Freedom Tracker have counted a handful of other cases of journalists taken into custody while covering protests. The most recent case, in March 2019, occurred in Sacramento, California. Darrell Steinberg, the Sacramento mayor, said no matter the reason an order to disperse was given, no member of the press should be detained for doing their job. Click subscribe to receive the latest news.